Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling, arguably the most critical single line on the web, the title tag.
That's right. And we're looking at it through two lenses, really. There's the classic advertising wisdom, think Ogilvy,
Right.
and then there's the raw technical detail we've seen from that big Google leak. It's quite the mix.
It really is. So let's start with that foundation. You mentioned Ogilvy.
Yeah, David Ogilvy, he famously said something like, on the average, 5 times as many people read the headline as read the body copy.
5 times.
Exactly. And his killer line was, when you have written your headline, you have spent 80 cents out of your dollar. Powerful stuff.
And that maps directly onto the digital world, doesn't it? Your title tag is that digital headline on the SRP, the search engine results page.
It absolutely is. A weak print headline. Okay, you wasted money. A weak title tag.
You're just invisible. Game over before it starts. No return at all.
Precisely. Which brings us to what we're calling the dual mandate. The title tag has two bosses it needs to please. First, the human user, that's the art of persuasion, getting the click. And second, the search engine, the science of relevance, getting seen in the first place.
Art and science, human and machine. Got it. That's the mission for this deep dive then, understanding how to satisfy both. All right, let's dig into the art first. The human side. Before any algorithm gets involved, a person has to want to click, right?
Absolutely. And Google's own documentation confirms this. They say titles are critical to giving users a quick insight.
And the primary piece of information people use to decide which result to click, that's pretty explicit.
It is. And the core lesson here, straight from Ogilvy but timeless for search, is that your title must promise a benefit.
Promise a benefit. Okay.
People are always implicitly asking, what's in it for me when they search? Your title needs to answer that.
So less like just a label, like our new accounting software, that's just a fact.
Exactly. More like a solution. Save 10 hours a week with our accounting software. See the difference. It speaks to a need.
Yeah, that's much more compelling. But is there a danger there? Like if you push the benefit too hard, maybe it gets vague. How do you make sure it's still clear what the page is actually about for, the Google bot?
That's the constant balancing act. You use proven formulas, but you keep the technical needs in mind. For instance, the power of news.
Okay, like signaling freshness.
Right, adding a year or mentioning updates like the ultimate SEO guide for 2024's algorithm updates. Humans see current. The bot sees relevant, fresh terms.
That makes sense. It serves both masters. And I guess numbers still work.
Oh, absolutely. Specificity is huge. Using numbers, like in 15 actionable ways to instantly improve your writing, does two things. It pops visually on a crowded SRP.
Stands out, yeah.
And it promises a structured, easy-to-digest format. People like lists and clear takeaways.
What about asking questions?
Great tactic. Engaging curiosity. If you can frame a title as a question that mirrors what the user is already thinking, like, is SEO worth the investment in 2025?
It creates a little mental itch they need to scratch by clicking.
Precisely. It opens a loop. And don't forget, direct audience targeting, especially for local stuff.
Like calling out the location.
Exactly. You need to flag your audience. Emergency plumbing repair in Brooklyn. No ambiguity. If you're in Brooklyn and need a plumber now, that title speaks directly to you.
Okay, so these are all ways to make the title compelling for humans, but you mentioned Ogilvy liked long headlines sometimes.
He did. His famous Rolls-Royce ad had a very long headline he found detail could sell. But here's where the art slams into the science, or maybe just the physics, of the SRP.
The pixel limit.
The pixel limit.
Yeah.
Now, 600 pixels wide, that's it. It's unforgiving. So that benefit, that promise, it has to be powerful, but also incredibly compressed.
So you can't really tell the whole story in the title.
No way. It forces the title to work tightly with the meta description. The title is the hook. The description gives the context, the reason to believe. They're a creative unit.
Okay, so we need that compressed, compelling promise. But like you said, even if we craft the perfect 600-pixel masterpiece, the science side the Google systems revealed in the leak might just ignore it.
That's the sobering reality, yeah. Your title tag, the one you write in your HTML, is just one candidate for Google.
Only one. Where else are they looking?
Well, the leaked documents show they create a whole pool of potential titles. They look at the main visible title on your page, usually the H1 tag.
Okay, that makes sense. What else?
Anchor text, both from internal links on your own site that source on-site anchor in their terms.
Right.
And interestingly, anchor text from external links pointing to your page. Backlinks. That's source off domain anchor.
Wow, so they're pulling potential titles from how other sites link to you too.
Seems like it. They're gathering evidence from multiple places to figure out the best title.
Which explains why title rewrites are so common now. It's not the exception, it's the rule.
Over 76% of the time, according to some studies analyzing the effects. The system responsible, internally called Snippet Brain, is constantly evaluating and deciding whether to use your title or swap it out.
And today we're focusing right in on one specific piece.
We are the Quality Preview Rank Lab Title Protocol Buffer. This document, it doesn't just hint at how titles are chosen, it literally maps out the framework for a competition.
Okay, let's unpack that right away, because the common wisdom, the thing we've all believed for years, reinforced by Google themselves, was that they basically look at your HTML title tag. If it's good, great. If not, maybe they rewrite it. Simple enough.
But that's not the story the documentation tells. It's fundamentally more complex, more competitive.
Competitive? How so?
It reveals the title you actually see on the search results page. It's not just a checkbox exercise.
Okay.
It's the winner of a high-stakes internal selection process. And it's governed by a dedicated system they internally call Goldmine.
Goldmine.
Yeah.
So not just like a project name.
No. Think of it as the central nervous system for this whole title competition. It decides the winner.
Wow. Okay. So our mission today then is to basically deconstruct this goldmine competition.
Exactly.
We need to look at, what, the three key parts?
That's the plan. 3 pillars. First, where do all the potential title candidates even come from? It's more diverse than you think.
Right, the sources.
Second, the scoring system itself. How does Goldmine judge these candidates? We'll talk about specific components, including Blockbert.
Blockbert. Okay. And third?
And finally, the really dynamic part.
Yeah.
How real-world user behavior feeds back into this. The nav boost connection.
Got it. Sources, scoring, and user validation via nav boost. Okay, let's start with the sources. You called it the title candidate portfolio.
Yes.
The big shock here, I think, is realizing you're not just optimizing one line of text for a URL anymore.
You're absolutely not. You're managing a portfolio, a collection of possible titles, and they're all competing.
How do we know this? The documentation specifically shows multiple inputs.
Precisely.
Yeah.
The protocol buffer has multiple attributes starting with source. That confirms this multi-input approach. Google is actively pulling text from, well, 5 distinct places we can see documented.
5 places, okay.
Yeah, 5 places to fill this portfolio. And the one candidate that scores best in Goldmine, that's the one that gets displayed.
All right, let's name them. What are these candidates that are now, officially competing against my carefully crafted title tag?
Well, the foundation, the one we all know, is still there.
Yeah.
The traditional HTML title tag. That's source title tag.
Okay, familiar ground.
But then number 2, on-page headings, which is source heading tag.
Headings, like H1s, H2s.
Specifically, yeah. And what's really fascinating is there's an attribute called Goldmine Header ISH1.
Ah, so that confirms it.
It settles a long-running debate, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, the primary H1 tag is treated as a distinct, probably highly weighted source candidate. It's designed to be a potential winner. It can definitely replace the title tag if its signals are stronger.
Okay, wow. So right away, that means you have to treat your H1 and your title tag like a team. They need to be cohesive.
Absolutely, they need to work together. But the next one, this is where the strategic impact really, really hits home. Anchor text.
Anchor text as a title candidate.
Yes, that's a massive strategic shift laid bare. We see attributes for internal anchor text, source on-site anchor, and also external anchor text, source off-domain anchor.
Hold on. So the text I use to link within my own website and the text other websites use to link to me are being pulled in as actual title options. They could show up on the SRP.
They are being pulled in as viable title candidates, yes,
Yep.
competing directly.
So wait a minute. All those internal links using click here or learn more, I've basically been feeding Google low-quality title options for years, polluting my own candidate pool.
That's exactly what the documentation implies. You're supplying potentially weak, generic candidates that Goldmine might pick if your main title and heading aren't strong enough. It seems to pull in text that describes the linked page.
That is a lot to process. Okay, what's the 5th source? The fallback.
Right, the fail-safe. If all the publisher-provided stuff, the title, the headings, the anchor text, are judged to be weak, maybe empty, stuffed with keywords, boilerplate.
Then what? Is this where Google just writes its own?
Essentially, yes. That's the machine-generated title, source-generated title. This is the system's fallback. It kicks in when the human inputs are just, well, low quality.
So the rewrites we sometimes see aren't just tweaks. They could be the system giving up on our inputs and generating something better from scratch.
That seems to be exactly what source-generated title represents.
So once Google builds this portfolio of candidates from these different sources, they move into the judging phase.
Correct.
This brings us to the Goldmine scoring system itself. It's connected to something called the Alternative Title Annotator.
Yes, that seems to be the process handling the annotation and scoring. And the whole architecture, it relies on component scoring, breaking quality down using those technical Goldmine factor attributes.
Okay, component scoring. Is there a sequence to it?
It looks like a two-step process, two key scoring milestones. First, the system calculates the Goldmine page score. Think of this as an initial composite score,
Based on what?
based on relatively static factors. Things like Goldmine body factor, how relevant the title candidate is to the main body content, and Goldmine heading factor. It's like a first-pass filter, a structural sanity check.
Got it. Initial quality check. But that's not the final score.
No. The real competition, the one that determines what actually gets displayed, seems to hinge on the Goldmine adjusted score.
Adjusted? How?
And the documentation is explicit here. This adjustment includes Blockbird scoring.
Blockbird. Okay, you mentioned that earlier. This sounds important.
It's crucial. This is where Google moves beyond just keywords and gets into deep linguistic quality.
So what is Blockbird exactly? Is it like regular BERT?
Well, standard large language models like the original BERT, they're incredibly powerful, but also very resource intensive. Too slow, likely, for analyzing billions of title candidates constantly.
Right. Scale is everything for Google.
Exactly. So they appear to have built a bespoke, leaner, more efficient variant, Blockbird, designed specifically for this kind of deep semantic analysis at massive scale, perhaps using sparse structures blocks to make it feasible.
Wow. A custom language model just for title scoring. That shows how much they value linguistic quality.
It really does.
So it's not just looking for keywords anymore. It's assessing what? Linguistic merit.
Pretty much. It seems focused on three key areas, moving way past old-school SEO tactics.
Like what?
First, semantic coherence. Can I tell the difference between a well-structured, grammatically sound title and just a string of keywords someone stuffed in?
Okay, coherence. Makes sense.
Second, contextual relevance. How well does the title align with the entire page content, not just, say, the first paragraph? Does it accurately represent the whole page?
Deeper relevance. Got it. And third.
And third, just overall naturalness. Does it sound like something a human would actually write and find useful? A title that reads naturally gets a higher Blockbird score.
Okay, so it rewards good linguistic structure. Does it also penalize bad structure? Can we see that?
Oh, absolutely. The system has clear, quantifiable penalties that publishers, directly influence.
For example?
We see an attribute called DUP tokens. That sounds like a direct measure for keyword stuffing. You repeat best widgets, widget.
Your score goes down.
Your score goes down fast. There's also Goldmine has boilerplate in title. That penalizes repeating non-informative text across your site, like maybe adding the same brand phrase to every single title unnecessarily.
Right. Boilerplate is bad.
Okay.
And you mentioned something. There's one here for the technical SEO folks. About title length.
Yes. This one feels like it settles decades of debate. The attributes with fraction is truncated.
Truncation, like when the title gets cut off with Harry.
Exactly. These attributes confirm that titles exceeding the pixel width limit are flagged. And crucially, they are penalized during the scoring process.
Not just a display issue after the fact.
No. SEOs argued about 60 characters versus, 600 pixels for years. This suggests it was always about the pixel width, causing a penalty during the scoring competition itself.
So being too long isn't just ugly, it actively hurts your chances of winning the title spot.
It's a quantitative negative signal. It pulls your Goldmine page score down. You're starting the race with a handicap against candidates that fit properly.
Wow. Okay. So that covers the static and linguistic quality, but then there's the dynamic part, the real-world validation.
Right.
You called it the smoking gun, connecting title selections to how users actually interact with it.
That's the Goldmine Nav Boost factor. This single factor directly links the Goldmine title selection process to the Nav Boost system.
And Nav Boost, remind us, that's the big system using click data.
It's a powerful re-ranking system. Uses aggregated user click data, potentially up to 13 months worth. This is how Google figures out if a title that looks good on paper, good structure, good Blockbird score, actually works in practice. Does it satisfy the user?
And it's not just about raw clicks, right? Because clicks can be misleading. Clickbait gets clicks.
Exactly. NavBoost looks at nuanced signals, quality signals. It measures good clicks. Those are clicks where the user stays on the page for a while, long dwell time. That indicates satisfaction.
Okay, good clicks are. Good. What about bad ones?
Conversely, it tracks bad clicks. That's when someone clicks your result, immediately hits the back button, and clicks something else. Pogo sticking.
The worst signal
Yeah.
means the title was probably misleading or the page didn't deliver.
Precisely. It signals dissatisfaction. But then there's the really strong positive signal everyone wants.
Or it is.
The last longest clicks. This identifies when your result was the last one the user clicked in their search journey and they stayed there for a significant time.
Ah, so it signals they found what they were looking for. Search success.
Exactly. It proves the user ended their search successfully, right there on your page, presumably satisfied by the content promised by that title. A candidate that consistently racks up these high-quality interactions.
Its goldmine nav boost factor goes up.
Dramatically.
Yeah.
Which significantly boosts its chances of winning the goldmine competition and becoming the displayed title.
So the strategic implication here is huge. The SRP is basically Google's live testing lab.
That's a great way to put it.
They're constantly A/B testing title candidates in real time. Maybe one for my H1, one from anchor text, one for my actual title tag. And the winner isn't just the one that looks best to an algorithm initially, but the one that proves its quality through user clicks and satisfaction over time.
Exactly right. And this completely reframes title optimization, doesn't it?
How so?
The priority has to shift from just grabbing a click, maybe with something slightly clickbaity, to accurately setting expectations. Because a deceptive title might get that initial click, sure.
Yeah.
But the resulting bad clicks and lack of last longest clicks will torpedo its NavBoost score. It'll get demoted over time, even if it had a perfect Blockbird score.
So you have to optimize for intent satisfaction to win the crucial nav boost factor.
That seems to be the core lesson. It has to deliver.
Okay. So we've gone through the sources, the scoring, the user feedback loop. Let's translate this deep technical dive into actionable strategy. What should someone listening, the learner, do with this knowledge about Goldmine?
All right, strategy number one has to be about holistic alignment. This is driven by understanding Blockbird and that goldmine body factor. Meaning you must treat your HTML title tag and your main H1 heading as a cohesive pair, like partners.
Not separate checklist items.
No, they need to be semantically consistent. Both should be descriptive, both viable winners on their own, and critically, they should promise the same core content value. Goldmine seems to look for that agreement.
And I guess that extends beyond just the title and H1.
It does. The introductory content, right near the top of the page, needs to immediately reinforce the promise made by the title, and H1, create a strong semantic cluster.
Why?
Because that signals relevance to Goldmine, likely boosting that Goldmine body factor we talked about. It says, yes, this page is clearly about what the title says.
Okay, alignment, title, H1, intro content all working together. What's strategy number 2?
Strategy 2 has to tackle that anchor text revelation. Remember source on-site anchor.
How can I forget? Internal links are title candidates.
Right. So internal linking strategy is no longer just about passing PageRank or guiding users. It's now also a form of title quality control. You're managing the candidate pool.
Which means, actionably,
It means you need to be really disciplined. For your important pages, the internal links pointing to them should use descriptive, high-quality anchor text. Reinforce the specific topic and intent you want Goldmine to associate with that page.
And conversely,
You need to probably audit and aggressively remove or change those generic anchors. Click here, learn more, read more.
because they pollute the pool.
They pollute the candidate pool with low-quality generic options that surprisingly could end up winning if your main candidates are weak. You're mitigating risk.
Okay, internal linking discipline. Got it. What's the third strategy?
Finally, we have to come back to technical compliance, specifically title length.
The pixel width limit.
Exactly. Manage your title length strictly. Keep it under that 600 pixel limit to avoid triggering that is truncated flag.
Because getting flagged isn't just cosmetic.
We now know it's not. It's a scoring penalty. Avoiding that is truncated penalty isn't just about making things look neat. It's about not starting the goldmine competition with a disadvantage. Don't give competitors an easy edge because your title was too long.
Technical compliance is a direct scoring factor. Clear.
So, yeah, it's been a complex dive, but when you lay it out, the overall system is, well, maybe not simple, but more predictable now.
Predictable how?
A winning title has to clear 3 hurdles. First, be structurally sound and relevant, get a good goldmine page score. Second, be linguistically coherent and natural, pass the Blockbert test for a high goldmine adjusted score.
And third,
And third, it has to be validated by real users. It needs to win the NavBoost competition with quality clicks, structure, semantics, and performance.
structure, semantics, performance. That's a great summary. Okay, before we wrap up, there was one small term you mentioned regarding nav boost. Unsquashed clicks. What's that about?
Right, squashing. This seems to refer to functions Google uses to normalize click metrics.
Normalize, like adjust them.
Yeah, basically to prevent a single huge, unusual spike, maybe from a viral hit, maybe a manipulation attempt from totally dominating the click signals used by NavBoost.
So they're smoothing out the data.
It seems so. It suggests they're actively purifying the click data before it even feeds into the goldmine NavBoost factor calculation, trying to filter out noise and manipulation attempts.
To get closer to genuine aggregated user preference over time.
That appears to be the goal.
Okay, so that actually raises a really interesting final question for you, the listener, to think about. If Google has this layer of data purification, the squashing function, filtering things, before the scores we just talked about are even calculated, what does that mean for transparency?
That's a good question.
How do they balance needing that genuine user preference data against needing to filter out noise, maybe even legitimate viral spikes, or intentional manipulation? It suggests there's another layer of complexity, maybe even data politics, happening before the goldmine competition even begins.
The layer before the layer we just mapped.
Yeah, something to definitely chew on as you start thinking about your own title candidate portfolio.
Indeed. Now, a lot of advice out there is kind of high level, gut feeling, maybe some basic rules. But we're going way deeper. We've got this incredibly detailed checklist, mostly distilled from Sean Anderson's work at Hobo SEO. It's like a shortcut to titles that actually work for search engines and for real people reading them.
That's exactly it. We're aiming for pure precision today. Forget the vague stuff like just be descriptive. We're talking hard numbers, specific rules, character counts, where your keywords have to go, even, believe it or not, which punctuation marks are okay. The idea is you walk away from this with like a whole new standard for auditing every single title on your site. It's very actionable.
Okay, let's unpack this. Starting right at the beginning, the fundamentals. If you mess this part up, the rest doesn't matter much.
Yeah.
Right? What's the absolute must-have for any title tag?
It sounds simple, but it's often where things go wrong. Uniqueness and accuracy. Every single page title on your site has to be unique, and it absolutely must describe what's actually on that page. No duplicates, no misleading stuff.
So if you run a big site, say e-commerce or news, that means the system needs to generate those unique titles automatically.
Precisely. You can't just have a template that spits out the same title structure for everything. It needs to be dynamic. And the title itself, brief but descriptive. You have to avoid those really generic words.
Look, give us an example.
Well, the classic offenders are just home or profile or maybe product page. Think about if your title is just profile, neither the user nor Google knows whose profile or what kind of info is there. It's useless.
Okay, got it. No generic placeholders. And I like the point about dynamism, too. If the page content changes a lot, the title needs to keep up. Yeah.
Absolutely vital, especially for, like you said, news sites or maybe product pages where stock changes. If the content updates significantly, the title must reflect that. Otherwise, you're setting the wrong expectation. And just two quick technical things to check off here as well. First, make sure the title language matches the main content language. Seems obvious, but worth checking. Second, make sure it's crystal clear which text on the page is the main title element for indexing purposes. No ambiguity.
Clarity established.
Okay, let's get into the numbers. This is where I think SEO feels less like art and more like, well, science. Specific rules, character counts, stuff that can actually hurt your ranking if you ignore it.
Yeah, this is where we get super specific for the SRPs, the search results pages, for maximum usability so it doesn't get cut off awkwardly. You really want to aim for up to 60 characters for the whole title. That's the sweet spot to aim for.
60 characters. That's not a lot, especially for complex topics or long product names. What if you have to go longer, say 75 characters? It happens. But if you do go longer, here's the non-negotiable part. The first 50 to 60 characters absolutely must contain your main key phrase. And crucially, that first bit, the part that will show up, has to make perfect sense on its own.
So even if it gets truncated, the user still gets the core message.
Exactly. If your killer point is buried in the last 20 characters of an 80-character title, it's going to look weird and incomplete in the search results. People won't click.
Makes sense. So front load the important stuff. And where exactly does that key phrase need to sit? Is there a word count rule too?
There is, and it's pretty strict according to the source. Your main key phrase needs to be included within the first 8 to 12 words of the title tag.
First 8 to 12 words.
Yeah.
Okay.
This signals relevance immediately to the search engine, and again, helps ensure users see it even on tiny mobile screens. It's really important. And this connects to something else that often surprises people. You should actively avoid overly long titles in general. The analysis suggests that really long titles, especially if they contain keywords not directly related to the core topic, can actually penalize certain types of pages.
Wait, penalize. You mean Google might actually rank you lower just for being too wordy in the title?
It seems that way. It's like you're diluting the signal. A concise, relevant title is seen as higher quality.
That's fascinating. So less is more. Brevity and precision win over just stuffing more words in.
Absolutely. Think of it like this. An algorithm might see a tight 10-word title as efficient and focused. A rambling 20-word title, that could look unfocused, maybe even like old-school keyword stuffing.
Okay, this structure, the 60 characters, the 8-12-word rule for the key phrase, it feels like it's all driven by how people actually search and click. Which brings us neatly to searcher intent. How does the user's goal shape the title?
Oh, it shapes everything. You absolutely have to understand why the person is searching, what's their goal, and then match your title to that goal. Are they just looking for information, comparing products, ready to buy something, trying to find a specific website?
So different intents need different title styles.
Definitely. If someone's looking for information, maybe doing research, the title should probably reflect that. It might even be a question, something like, how do solar panels work? That's clearly informational.
Versus someone ready to buy.
Right. A transactional title would be more like, buy high-efficiency solar panels, free install. Quote, it's direct, action-oriented.
So informational titles might use those how, what, why words.
Exactly. And commercial or transactional ones might use buy, order, discount, deals, or focus on the benefit, like free shipping. You need to categorize your pages and tailor the titles. Is the intent informational, commercial, investigation, navigational, or transactional? If you write an informational title like learn about our amazing widgets for a page where people just want to buy the widget, you've missed the mark. They'll click the competitor that says widgets in stock order now.
That's a really clear connection. Okay, let's shift from structure to style. Capitalization, punctuation. I was surprised by how specific the rules are here. Most people just use title case like a book title, right?
They do, and that's generally not the recommended approach according to these guidelines. Following these little style rules make your listing look cleaner, more professional, less spammy, maybe. The main rule is use sentence case for your title tags.
Sentence case, so like a normal sentence. Capitalize the first word and proper nouns.
Exactly. Capitalize only the first word of the title, the first word after a colon if you use one for a subtitle, and any proper nouns. And here's the detail that trips almost everyone up. No period, no full stop at the end of the title tag, even if it reads like a full sentence.
No period. Really, that feels
Yeah.
wrong grammatically. But you're right, looking at search results, you often don't see one. Why sentence case, though? Title case feels more like a title.
It's subtle, but title case capitalizing almost every major word can sometimes look a bit shouty or overly promotional to algorithms, maybe even a bit dated. Sentence case just presents it as a clear, concise description. It's more natural language.
Okay, sentence case, no final period. What about other punctuation? Commas, hyphens, those vertical pipe symbols.
Use them sparingly. The goal is clarity, not decoration. That pipe symbol is pretty common and generally fine for separating, say, the main topic from your brand name at the end. But otherwise, avoid lots of complex punctuation unless it's genuinely needed to make sense of the title. Keep it clean.
Right. Now, you mentioned earlier that for informational intent, using question words is good. Can we dig into that a bit?
Yeah, absolutely. If the content answers a question and the user is likely searching with a question, then using those interrogative words is highly encouraged. Words like how, why, when, where, what, which, who, whose. If they fit the content, using them to form a question in the title can be really effective for click-through rate.
Makes sense, directly matching the user's query.
Yeah.
Okay, let's flip to the don'ts in grammar. These seem like easy traps to fall into when writing quickly.
They really are. The first big one is avoid starting your page title with an ing verb.
Like running a fashion marathon or optimizing your website. You see those all the time.
All the time. But the guideline says try to avoid starting the title that way.
Huh. Any idea why? Is it just convention?
It might signal a kind of informality, or perhaps, again, look a bit like an optimization attempt rather than a clear statement of what the page is. Maybe how to run a faster marathon is preferred. Second grammar rule. Avoid contractions made from nouns and verbs in the title. So instead of it's a useful guide, right, it is a useful guide.
Okay, more formal there.
Yeah, and definitely avoid double contractions, though those are rarer anyway. Basically, keep the language clean, unambiguous, maybe slightly more formal than casual speech for this specific element.
Got it. No ing or verbs first. Use formal constructions. Let's wrap this section with branding. How much brand name should we squeeze in, if any?
Keep the branding concise. Usually if you include it, it goes at the very end, often after a pipe or hyphen. But only include it if your brand name actually helps the click-through rate. If you're a well-known, trusted brand, it probably does. If you're not, it might just take up valuable character space. And make sure any branding is, reasonable. Don't let it dominate the title.
Sure.
Oh, and one very specific rule about branding and acronyms or abbreviations. If you use one in the title tag, you absolutely must spell out what that abbreviation stands for in the very first paragraph of the page content itself.
For immediate clarity once the user lands. That's a good user experience point.
Exactly. It removes confusion right away. Another small quality signal.
Okay, brilliant. We've covered optimizing a single-page title meticulously, but most sites aren't single pages. How do these rules apply site-wide? What are the big mistakes people make across, say, thousands of pages?
Yeah, this is where things can get messy on large sites. The biggest danger is what the source calls boilerplate text. You have to avoid repeating chunks of text across loads of titles.
Okay, define boilerplate for us. What does that actually look like?
So boilerplate is basically useless text that gets added automatically to lots of different page titles, often at the end. Imagine an e-commerce site where every single product page title ends with, find the best deals online and get free UK shipping, my awesome store name.
Right, I've seen that.
If you have thousands of products, you're making Google index that same long phrase over and over again. It adds no unique value for each page. It's essentially site-wide keyword stuffing, even if unintentional, and it dilutes the impact of the unique part of your title.
So the mantra is still ruthless uniqueness, even at scale.
Yeah.
Every title distinct, fully descriptive.
Exactly. Do not repeat titles. Avoid adding irrelevant keywords. This is super important for things like dynamically generated pages, like category pages where users can filter by size or color or brand. If applying those filters creates super long titles packed with every filter option, that's exactly the kind of page that can get penalized for having long, irrelevant title elements. You need concise, descriptive titles, even for those filtered views.
That sounds like a significant technical challenge for developers managing large sites. Okay, one last area, technical checks. How do we make sure search engines can actually see our beautifully crafted titles?
Well, the most fundamental check is just, can the search engine actually crawl the page? You need to make sure you're not blocking search engines via your robots.txt file or, other methods. If Googlebot can't crawl the page, it can't read your title or verify the content.
So allowing crawling is step one.
Right. Now, if you do have a reason to block crawling, maybe it's sensitive internal content, then you also must use the noindex directive. If you block crawling but allow indexing, Google might still try to index the page based on links pointing to it, but it won't have your title. It'll just make one up, usually based on anchor text, and it will likely be pretty bad for visibility.
Got it. Allow crawling, or if blocking, use noindex. Okay, this has been incredibly detailed. It really drives home that title optimization isn't just guesswork. It's a science with very specific constraints. If I had to recap the biggest surprises, it's probably that strict 8 to 12 word placement for the key phrase, the whole sentence case, no period rule, and avoiding those specific things like starting ing verbs or using contractions.
Yeah, those details really make a difference. It's about sending the clearest possible signal, removing any ambiguity for both the user and the algorithm. Adhering to these rules signals quality.
And thinking bigger picture now, especially about those rules on concise titles and avoiding that repetitive boilerplate text, it really makes you think about your own site, doesn't it?
It should. And that leads to a final thought for you, the listener, to take away and maybe investigate. Considering everything we've discussed, concise titles, unique descriptions, avoiding boilerplate, how might you audit your own website right now? Could you identify those specific page types, maybe the ones often overlooked like filtered category views or old archive pages, where long, messy, or irrelevant titles might actually be holding those pages back, where you might be causing self-penalization? Because understanding this shows that mastering titles isn't really about creative flair. It's much more about precise, structured adherence to a set of rules that are proven to work. Your next step. put these constraints into practice.